Hi team, how you doing? Decided to go live a few minutes early just to give everybody a chance to get on. And then I also have to be completely honest and say that I have gotten no work done whatsoever since the last live because I have been so busy in the groups, chatting to everybody and saying hello and seeing how everybody is and seeing you all do the homework. And honestly, I've just been so inspired by every single one of you. It was amazing, and I actually forgot that it was Labor Day as well in America. And so whenever I went live at midday, like I was so inspired by the amount of people that actually showed up live because it was like 4 a.m. Pacific time and it was 7 a.m. Eastern time. And it's Labor Day over there and it's a big holiday. And yet so many of you were on live, showed up, did the work that I told you to, or that I asked you to do. And yeah, just been reading all the posts in the group and just been seeing all of your guys' wonderful journal entries and your why. And honestly, I just want to tell you that see those of you who did the home, who downloaded the homework, who did the work, who wrote the journal entries, who really poured your heart into it, you are the ones who are going to get the most out of it. And if you haven't done it yet, I'm not judging you. Don't feel bad. But the people who show up and take action and make it happen are the ones who get the most done. Somebody's just said, a Facebook user just said hello again. Guys, I want to make sure that you accept StreamYard's terms and conditions somewhere on this post. In fact, I'm going to open it up because I'm going to take questions. Well, actually, I'm going to take questions from here. Actually, I have them here, but I'm going to show you. Actually, it won't come up on mine. StreamYard has a thing that we use StreamYard to broadcast these lives, and they have like this thing where you have to choose to accept their permission in order for them to be able to see your name. And so if you don't accept that permission, I can't see your name here in StreamYard. So you have to accept that permission for me to be able to see your name. And if you haven't done that, then I won't be able to see who you are. So I'm just going to now save this post. Hang on a wee second here. Click on it. I'm just going to pin the post to the top. One of the team have probably done it for me because they're all so amazing, but I did go live a wee bit early. Didn't tell them it's going to be happening. So what are we going to be doing now today? And I know I am a little bit early, so that's totally fine. But I just thought that you guys would benefit from me being here as long as possible because I want to make sure I get through as many comments as I possibly can. And actually, I'm just checking the live here. It's so weird to be able to like see yourself live whenever you're live, but what this used to be, StreamYard used to be like a whole minute behind me actually being live here. But what I realize now is it's actually sorry, only about 10 seconds behind, which is good because it used to be I would say something really funny and I would like waiting for everyone to make comments, whatever, and then no one would comment. I'd be like, oh, maybe that wasn't very funny actually, but it was just that Facebook wasn't showing it to very many people on time. So, right, what am I trying to say? I'm talking crap here. I just want to make sure that that someone from the team posts this to the top of the group because loads of people couldn't find it earlier, but you guys are all here, so seemingly you found it. One thing I do, this person here. So Facebook user, if you haven't accepted StreamYard terms and conditions, this is how your name will come up, which is totally fine, but I won't be able to see your name for the Q&A. And if you don't want to accept their conditions and you want to be, or the terms and conditions and you want to be anonymous, that's totally fine too. You can absolutely stay anonymous. But, and I know that we've only just gone to 4 o'clock now. But here's what we're going to do today in the Q&A and in every Q&A. So I want to specifically help any of you who are struggling to find your why. That's really the purpose of this Q&A. It's to review the work that was done, earlier, that I asked you to do earlier in the day, because I have designed this challenge in such a way that if you follow through on every single day and you do the homework and you show up to the Q&A or you watch the recording and you do the homework that I set you out, it's going to transform how you achieve your goals. It's going to transform you. And the reason why is because you don't need another fitness plan at the minute. You don't need another meal plan. You don't need another anything, right? What you need is to figure out why you're not showing up to do what you know you should do, or why you're showing up, but then you're falling off the wagon. You need to figure out why you haven't achieved what it is that you want to achieve. And that's why you guys have signed up for this challenge. And like I said earlier, one of my favorite quotes is that knowing what to do is useless without the emotional strength to do what you know. all of us know what we need to do in order to sculpt the body of our dreams. But the problem is we don't have the emotional strength to show up and do what we know. And that's why I wanted to create this challenge. I wanted to create this challenge for you, for the 80 to 90% of users who buy our programs, who buy other fitness programs, and who start off really good for the first couple of days, or maybe the first couple of weeks, or maybe the first couple of months, but then you fall off the wagon and you don't know why you fall off the wagon, and then you just can't figure out how to get back on again, or maybe you drag the damn thing into the bush and set it on fire, right? I've done that before. So we want to figure out, I want to help you to figure out emotionally why you're not doing what you're doing, and that is how I've structured these 5 days. I've structured them really beautifully for one day to follow on from the other. And like on Thursday, we're going to talk about Motivation 101, and you're going to love that session. Like, you're really going to connect so deeply to the thing that's going to move you forward. I know you are. So I really want you to show up every day. I want you to do the homework. I want you to bring your best selves to these Q&As and not just show up to the live sessions, because if you really want to change, you will get so much out of this if you just commit to showing up. So I really want these sessions to be about your why first and foremost. But I am totally open to any question that you want to ask, because I'm here to help you achieve your health and fitness goals. And maybe your why is solid. Maybe your emotional strength is good. Maybe you just need more details about what you should eat, or when you should eat it, or how you should train. Maybe you have some specific questions. Then, totally bring those as well. One thing I'm not going to do is answer program specific questions. So if you're an extreme body makeover and you're in peak week and you want to ask me a question about the water drop, I'm not going to take those kinds of questions here, okay? Because those are for that group. So I'm not going to answer program specific groups, but for those of you who are really struggling to either get on the wagon or get back on the wagon and finally follow through, anything you want to ask, this is an open floor Q&A session, okay? So I'm here to help you as much as I can every single week. And you've got 5 of these from me, right? You've got 5 hours of me giving you advice. Like, that literally does not happen anymore in the company at all. So let's get started. Say a few hellos and get started with the questions. So we have loads of Facebook users saying hello again. We have Catherine saying hi. We have Stephanie Jones is saying, what sets my soul on fire? Acting, the craft of acting, telling stories, helping others learn how to act. Now I need to drill deeper still, but I'm working on it. I love that, Stephanie. That's one of my strongest whys for why I run the company. Actually, it's helping people to change and to be better within themselves and to be happier within themselves. It literally drives me on to do what I do. I always say that, my highest value, or my why, is I want every woman to wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and feel proud of who she is and what she's achieved. And I worked that out whenever I was going through Simon Sinek's material. Simon Sinek has a book called Discover Your Why, I think it's called. And it's a phenomenal book. And I realized that's what I want for every woman. I want every woman to feel how I feel. And when I wake up in the morning, yes, sometimes I have self-doubts and whatever about my process or about things I'm doing, but I feel proud of who I am. I feel proud of who I've become. I feel proud of what I've created. And I want every woman to feel like that, because let me tell you, it is absolutely amazing when you live your life feeling that way. You literally feel so powerful. You can do anything. So what else have we got here? Let me take a couple of questions. I'm going to start at the top. All right, loads of you are saying hello, hello. Guys, make sure that you accept StreamYard's terms and conditions, okay? I think there's a link somewhere in the text of this video where you're watching the video. There's a link somewhere. You have to click the text in order to be able to accept their terms and conditions. Otherwise, I won't be able to see your name. Okay, so we have Nikki here, and Nikki's asking, how do you stop the negative thoughts to let the why come through? This is a really good question, Nikki. And there's a couple of things to consider. First of all, your negative thoughts are like a little defense mechanism that you have built up over time. Your body has built up over time. So you are more used to, not you, many of us, I would say, are much more used to dwelling on the negative parts of ourselves rather than on the positive parts. So this is like a habit, a bad habit that you've formed that you just need to work to reform. So kind of like, the way you can have a bad habit, like, so doesn't even have to be a bad habit. Like, you have a habit, right? So, because the thing about it is, habits serve us. So saying something is bad isn't correct, because you have developed negative self-talk as a defense mechanism. Because anything bad that we do, or anything negative that we do, we create negative habits in order to serve us. What do I mean by this? Well, whenever we're little kids, We just want to be happy and safe. That's all we want. We just want to be happy and safe. And so we develop defense mechanisms. We develop ways of navigating the world in order to keep us happy and safe and secure and warm, because the human body is wired for survival. We are wired for forward movement and growth, but we're also wired to protect ourselves. So whenever we're little kids, we develop good tendencies and we develop negative tendencies, but all of these tendencies are there to protect us in some way. So you might have a little kid that develops that realizes one day they can lie. And if they lie, they get something. So maybe one day they told a lie and then they got something, like they got given candy or they got given, attention or something. And so they developed a negative link between lying, getting attention. So they lied and they got attention. Well, you might say, well, that's really bad that they lied and they got attention. Well, not necessarily, because little kids just want to feel good. And when they get attention, attention feels good, not just for kids, but for adults as well. So whenever we get attention, attention feels really, really good. And so whenever we're a little kid, we just want to feel good. Now, is lying to get attention a good thing, a good habit to develop moving into adulthood? Well, possibly not, because we don't want to lie to get attention. We want to build value in order to get attention. But to say that the child is bad for lying to get attention really doesn't make sense, because the child's intent is good. What do I mean by this? Well, all the child wants is to feel good. That's why children lie. They don't lie out of any bad intent. Children don't have bad intent. Children only have good intent, and they're very, very self-focused, and they just want to feel better. So you developed negative thoughts about yourself in an attempt to make yourself feel better. You may have developed them as a child. You may have developed them as an adult. You may have had abusive parents. You may have had controlling or angry parents, or you may have had lovely parents who were controlling and angry sometimes, or you may have had parents who had a lot of body issues themselves. Maybe your mother was constantly on a diet and she told herself she was fat all the time. And so because she judged herself for, eating bad food, she judged you for eating bad food. So if she ever saw you eating something which she considered bad, she would punish you for it. And she would say, oh, you shouldn't be eating that, or that'll make you fat, or, oh, you need to exercise, you're putting on weight, because she had a lot of rules for herself. And whenever I have rules for myself and I see someone in the external world breaking my rules, I punish them, because I punish that in myself. So what I punish in myself, I will punish in others. What I accept in myself, I will accept in others. So if somebody is, if I consider myself to be a person who puts a lot of effort into their appearance, and I always go out with my makeup on and my hair done and really nice clothes, and I see someone with their hair done, their makeup done, really nice clothes, I'll say, oh, look at her, isn't she very well put together? Or maybe I'm interviewing and someone come for a job interview and I take a lot of pride in that, and I'll say, oh, I really like that girl because she really took a lot of pride in her appearance, because that's very important to me. So when I see it in the world, it makes me feel good. When I see someone eating chocolate, if I have a rule that chocolate is bad and makes you fat, and my mother punished me for it, if I see you eating chocolate, I'm going to punish you. I'm going to go, look at her just eating all that sugar. Like, she has no self-control. If my mother punished me for having no self-control, suddenly now I think that's bad. That has a negative feeling for me. So whenever I see someone eating the chocolate, I punish them for their lack of self-control. Understand, all of these things are nothing to do with the external world. They're all to do with our rules. We walk about the world punishing or rewarding people based on our rules. How does this have to do with your question? Or what does this have to do with your question? Well, you stop the negative thoughts, first of all, by realizing that the negative thoughts have served you in some way. And usually they're self-protective, i.e., whenever I put myself down, or whenever I say, oh, I could never do that, or I could never do that, or I'm not the kind of person who could ever go out there and do that, what I'm doing is I'm saving myself from something. So if I say, oh, I could never follow a fitness program, I will never be thin, I could never have abs. Like, if I tell myself that I'm not strong enough, I don't have enough money, I'm not willful enough, I don't have what it takes, all I'm doing is I'm saving myself from the pain of failure. Because maybe sometime when I was a child, I failed, and I failed hard, and I either got shamed or punished, or I felt embarrassed. And that failure did not feel good. So I want to avoid that failure in the future, but I'm not cognizant enough to recognize that I wanted to avoid that failure in the future, because most of us don't revisit our childhood in the way that I do, and everyone who works in my company does. We have some very interesting conversations in the office, I can tell you. So, but most people don't do this. So what we do is we give ourselves a lot of negative self-talk in order to stop ourselves from even trying in the first place. Because what if we tried and failed? What if we tried and failed? And the failure brought up all of that embarrassment or shame or negativity that we felt that time when we were young that we failed. And it could only have been one time. Maybe you tried something and you tried to skip or you tried to run and you tripped in the playground, you fell flat in your face and the whole playground laughed at you. And so you made it a rule that I will never try anything to do with fitness or putting myself out there in that way again, because what if that same bad thing happens again? So how do you stop the negative thoughts? You first of all recognize that those negative thoughts served you in some way, and they still serve you. All you're trying to do with the negative thoughts is you're trying to protect yourself. So little Nikki is just a scared little girl trying to protect herself. But here's the thing. Little Nikki is not little Nikki anymore. Little Nikki is now big Nikki. And she is not she doesn't need to protect herself in that way anymore, because big Nikki needs to remind herself that what people think about her doesn't matter, because no one else's opinion actually matters in the long run. And the only way that big Nikki, is ever going to make anything great of herself is by trying and failing, because it is impossible to grow without failure. You simply cannot grow without failure. You cannot grow in the gym without failure. The gym is the only place that you can go, and you must embrace failure. You must know that it's necessary in order to grow, because your muscles have to fail in order to grow, because that's how they grow stronger. So you don't stop the negative thoughts, Nikki. You reframe them. You ask yourself, what am I getting out of the negative thoughts? Trying to stop them and control them it won't work. It's just like trying to control your hunger, trying to stop yourself from eating chocolate cake or cookies whenever you're dieting. It'll only work for a short time, and then one day you're just going to fall off the wagon and binge. So the more you suppress those negative feelings, the more they're going to come up and haunt you. But if you bring them out in the open and you say, what am I getting out of beating myself up? What am I getting out of these negative feelings? If you ask yourself that question, and you journal on that and you write it down, how were you protecting yourself? Can you even remember the first time that you learned this as a strategy? You learned negative thoughts as a way to protect yourself. And whenever you start to reframe the negative thoughts as something that isn't bad, but something that actually you learned as a self-protective mechanism, and once you bring it out in the open and look at it, you quite often realize that you don't need them anymore. And you take away their power, because at the minute you've given the negative thoughts power because you want to stop them. Don't try and stop them. Bring them out and examine them and open them up and look at them. What are the negative thoughts? And how did they serve you? And how do they serve you at the minute? How do they protect you? And how do they make you feel better? Because even the negative thoughts actually have a very, very positive intent. So that was quite a long answer, but I thought it was really worthwhile. And I think that this is something that many women struggle with. And what you guys will find whenever I do these Q&As is sometimes I'll take one question and I'll talk on it for a long time, because I've seen that it's something that many women struggle with in the group. So I hope that helps you, Nikki. What else have we got? Loads of people saying hello, 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 hello. Okay. Facebook user. Hi, lovely Kim. Hello, lovely Facebook user. What if your why is not something you can really visualize? My why is that I want to do more social things, but what is stopping me is that I don't feel comfortable in my body. So I don't want to do social things. Okay, so I'm going to hide this because I'm like peering over the top of it. If you can't really visualize it at the minute, you just haven't dug down deep enough. It's not about visualizing, really. It's about feeling. You have to feel your why. So you have to really, really feel it. Like whenever I was talking earlier about, me doing the bikini competition and me starting my business, whenever I saw my sister stand in her bikini, I looked at her and I had like a feeling of, oh my God, I want this so much. I would love to have this. And then whenever I started, I decided that I was going to stand on stage, I had this deep, visceral feeling in my body that I want this so much. So saying that you want to be better in social situations, or that let me see exactly what you said, you want to do more social things, you need to be doing more social things is an effect of feeling more comfortable in your body. So that's what will happen after you feel more comfortable in your body. So you can do it two ways. You can, first of all, ask yourself, why do you want to feel more comfortable in your body, and what would that look like? Discovering your why is just giving you something to deeply connect with. So I would suggest digging deeper. I would suggest writing more. I would suggest, scouring the internet for pictures. Like just put in loads of random stuff. You know, girls who look amazing, or like really dig into, like, whenever you say you want to have you want to feel more comfortable in your body, what does that mean for you? Does that mean you want to have sculpted abs? Does that mean that you want to have good shoulders? Do you want to have a fabulous physique? Like, what does feeling comfortable in your body look like for you? What's the representation of that? So the fact that you've actually written this very vaguely for me, like, I want to, you want the effect, you want to feel better in social situations, but you've also said you want to feel more comfortable in your body. Like, my next question is, what does that mean, comfortable? How would you know you're comfortable in your body? Like, what would that look like? You have to get better with the visualizing. You really have to dig deep and own it. And what you're telling me from this question is you haven't owned it yet. You haven't gotten deep down and dirty into that little part of yourself that you're scared to even bring to the surface. But like I was saying earlier, if you want to dance on a podium with nipple tassels and a fucking G-string, then that's been a lifelong dream of yours, and you've been so scared to admit it. I want you to write that down. Like, genuinely, I want you to write that down, because and I want you to make that your goal. Maybe not that specific goal, but like maybe something related to that goal. Maybe you're going to audition for a show, like maybe you're going to join an operatic society in, your local area, and you're going to, or join like a dance theater club, and you're going to like do, you're going to learn to dance or something. You have to really figure out what it is that you want, but it has to be specific in terms of what you want, but only specific because you have to connect to it. And mine was pretty simple. It was like, I want to look like that. I looked at my sister and I was like, I want that. And if you had said to me, what is it? I would have been like, the body, the quads, the abs, the bikini, the work ethic, the physique. I want that. And I didn't even have to describe it, because I knew the feeling. When I looked at my sister in that bikini, doing this bikini competition, I had a feeling. And the feeling was, oh my God, I would give anything for that. And that's what you have to do. So even if it is about social situations, maybe you need to put yourself in uncomfortable social situations now. And you need to say to yourself, you have to give yourself a goal of saying, okay, I want to be able to walk into this social situation in 3 months' time, 6 months' time, 1 month's time, whatever. And I want to feel this way. It has to be specific. And then you say, well, what is it going to take to achieve that? And describe, I want to walk in, head held high. I want to sashay through, weave through the crowds, like saying hello to people, wearing a beautiful outfit. Like, describe the outfit that you're going to be wearing. I want people to stop and stare and look at me. Like, you have to become really creative. I want to be, like, I'll be wearing this makeup. My hair will be this way. I won't feel socially awkward. I will smile and laugh, and I will have some stories that I can tell, or connections. I'm going to learn some, conversation techniques where I ask people about themselves and I use open-ended questions. Like, you first of all, you have to describe, when you say comfortable in social situations, what exactly does that mean for you? And if you don't know what that is yet, well, you have to get out into some uncomfortable social situations and say, okay, next time I come here, I'm going to feel this way, look this way, have this, do this. You need to have a measurement of what you are not to know what you want. And that is how you move forward with this. I love this. My why is becoming longer the War and Peace. I love this, right? I love this. Listen, see if you just write and write and write and write out, all of that. This is what happens when you unlock the gates to your why. And most of us are ashamed of our why. Most of us tucked it away into this little place that we never really wanted to look at. And because, we were told when we were younger that we were too much, or we were too brash, or too loud, or too something, or too fat, or too thin, or too energetic, or something, because our parents and our well-intended parents and teachers and loved ones punish us based on their rules. So if your father was punished for making a lot of noise as a child, every time there's a lot of noise, he's going to be triggered. He's going to go shh. My husband's father does this all the time. He was punished a lot as a child. Bless his heart. So anytime anyone makes noise, he goes shh, and he shushes them. And I always laugh. I always go, Merv, It's okay. We don't mind. But I know that he's not doing that. It's just as soon as the noise comes, he's triggered by the noise and he doesn't even know why he's shushing you. But all he's trying to do by shushing you is quell his internal feeling. So that noise brings up this fear inside of him, and he wants that feeling to go away again. So he needs the external world to be quiet so his internal world can be quiet. This is how this works. So I love teaching this stuff. So really what we're trying to do is control our external world to control our internal world. So once you unlock the internal world, and I'm giving you permission to do it in this group, guys, permission. Like this is a free, non-judgmental, I might call you fat though. I'm only joking. Secret society. Those of you who know, know. If you know, you know. But this is a safe space. This is a safe space. You can just outpour. And once you unlock the secret to what makes you tick and to your why, it's amazing what can happen. The words start pouring out of you onto paper with your hand. You start writing them, talking them, well, whatever. You just see all of that feeling that's inside of you that you've been holding onto for years. Just get it all out. Let it all go. Let me see. What else have I got going on? Lots of people saying I'm trying hard to find my why. This is what you need to do. You need to connect to your why. What have we got? Okay, I'm going to pull this one up here. Can you please give some mindset advice? So this is obviously what I'm doing in this Q&A on how to say no in moments of weakness, caving into bad snacks that I don't want to eat. Well, there's your first mistake, Facebook user, okay? You've said caving into bad snacks that I don't want to eat. You do want to eat them. So you're actually lying to yourself that you don't want to eat them because you do want to eat them. You actually really, really want to eat them. And you know why you want to eat them? Because they feel good. Because sugary stuff makes us feel good. Snacks or cheesy stuff or carby stuff or bready stuff or whatever, those things are designed to feel good inside your body. So there's 3 things that stimulate the pleasure centers of the brain: eating, learning, and sex. That's why whenever you guys are here listening to me, quite often you guys say, Kim, I could just listen to you all day because I tell a lot of stories and I'm very integrated, so I can make a lot of sense when I teach. And so people love to listen to me. It feels good to listen to someone who's good at teaching something you're interested in because it's stimulating the pleasure centers of the brain. Well, food also stimulates the pleasure centers of the brain. So by saying that you don't want to eat them, that's the first lie you're telling yourself, because you do want to eat them because they feel so good. And that's okay that they feel good in the body. They're designed to feel good in the body. So your main problem here is coming from the fact that you're basically fighting a little internal battle with yourself. It's kind of like what I was talking about a little while ago. So you have deemed these foods to be bad. And I actually talked about this in the last podcast episode where I said the problem is we have these I told the story in the podcast episode that I was in away at a NLP convention once, and they'd had pizza night, and I was, yo-yo dieting at the time, and I didn't want to eat the pizza because pizza is bad, right? Pizza's bad. It's got carbs and cheese and vegan pepperoni and all of those things, but it's bad because it's calorific, right? So I had decided the pizza was bad. So I asked a question in an open forum the next day, and I said, I told myself like I was only going to have 2 slices of pizza last night. I ended up having 3 slices of pizza, and oh my God, like American slices of pizza, like 1 slice of pizza in America is about the size of one of our pizzas, one whole pizza here. So I think I had like 3 slices of pizza. So I said, I had 3 slices of pizza, and it was really bad. And I want to know how I can stop eating these bad foods. I'll never forget the teacher at the time said to me, well, what's bad about pizza? And I said, well, it's bad. Pizza's a bad food. And she said, well, no, it's not. She said, are you on a calorie controlled diet at the minute? And I was like, nope. And she said, so you're not counting your macros and calories. You're not working towards any nutrition or fat loss goal. And I said, nope, not at the minute. And she said, okay. So she said, the only way that she said, food is neither good nor bad. Food is just food. Pizza is just pizza. Something is only good if it moves you towards your goal, and is bad if it moves you away from your goal. So if you were currently working towards a calorie and macro counted goal, so let's say your goal was to eat 1,800 calories a day, and of a macro split of say 30% carb, 30% fat, 40 30% protein, 30% fat, 40% carb. That's what you were aiming for. And eating the slices of pizza pushed you over your calorie goal. Then the pizza would be bad. Not because the pizza is bad, but because eating the pizza moved you further away from your goal. She said, but if you hadn't eaten any calories that day and you had fasted for the entire day, and then eating those 3 slices of pizza moved you or kept you within your calorie goal, then you only had to eat another couple of things in order to make the 1800 calories, then the pizza would be good. She said, pizza is neither good nor bad. Pizza is just pizza. It's only bad if it moves you away from your goal or moves you towards your goal. So what I would suggest, Facebook user, is that, oh, wrong one. What I would suggest, Facebook user, is that you're craving into bad snacks because you're not working on a macro and calorie controlled diet. Food is neither good nor bad. Food is just food. But the problem is whenever we're not measuring anything, we only act on our body feeling. We act on how we feel about it. And so we look at food, and we've been taught by our well-intended parents, usually our mothers, that these foods are good and these foods are bad. Like if I said to you here, if I said to anyone here, come up with a list of foods that are good, you would all go fruit. It's always the top one, which is why people get very upset when you take away their fruit. Fruit, salad, cucumber, celery. If you are vegan, protein, we would say seitan, tofu, all these kinds of things. All these are good foods. What are bad foods? Chocolate, cheese, pizza, cheesecake, ice cream. So these are all in the bad food list, right? But this is just based on how we feel about them. And how you feel about something is not a good indication as to whether it's good or bad for you, because we're all just a little bit screwed up. Have to be honest. We're all just a little bit screwed up. So how you feel about something really is not a good determination for how it's good or bad. So the first thing is I would encourage you to be more honest with yourself. And this isn't a bad thing, by the way. You're saying caving into bad snacks I don't want to eat. First of all, you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to say, I do want to eat these things. You know why I know you want to eat them? Because you eat them. Because if you didn't want to eat them, you wouldn't eat them. So you do want to eat them. The problem is you want to not eat them more than you want to eat them. Does that make sense? It's a double negative. You want to not eat them more than you want to eat them. But that's never going to happen because you're always going to want to eat them. And you can eat them as part of a calorie and macro controlled diet if they fit in your macros. But I would imagine the problem is that you're not counting. And you may be counting. You may be on a calorie controlled diet. And if you are and you still cave and eat them, well, then you really have to examine what you're going for. And what you're going for quite often is just to feel good. You're hungry. You want to take away the hungry feeling. Maybe you have a link. Maybe when you were younger, you never learned that nothing happens when you're hungry. It's just a feeling in your body, because quite often our parents were obsessed with feeding us because it was left over, certainly here in Europe from the war. From Europe, I just made up a whole new word. From wartime Europe, now known as Warup. So in wartime Europe, we constantly wanted to have fat babies because fat babies meant that they weren't starving. So it's a very kind of bad postulate left over from those times that we constantly try to feed up our children, get them to eat up all your food to grow up big and strong, rather than eat till you're full and then stop. Wouldn't that be a much better lesson to teach children? But we punish them based on waste. Oh, don't you leave anything on your plate. So we force them to eat when they're not hungry. We force them to fill up, to finish what's on their plate. So we force them to overeat. We make this, this a virtue, overeating a virtue, and then we punish them for being fat or eating too much. So we're all a little bit messed up. So the first thing you have to do is look at why you want to eat them and forgive yourself for wanting to eat the bad foods because they feel good. That's why you want to eat them. And then whenever you stop punishing and judging yourself for wanting to eat them, you take away their power. Whenever you make something a rule, I will not do that. All you do is suppress it. And if you can suppress it and suppress it and suppress it, and then one day, it's just going to pop up. The more you suppress something, the more power you give it. Like I was saying earlier, the more you take it out and look at it, interesting, what am I going for here? Let me put this in my mouth. Instead of shoving it in, finishing, okay, it didn't really happen. Put it in your mouth, taste it, examine it. Why is this little delicious morsel of vegan brownie so fabulous? Take a bite. Chew on it. How does it feel in my mouth? How does it feel in my stomach? Slow down the process. Enjoy it. For God's sake, if you're going to eat it, make sure you enjoy it. Why would you go for the pleasure of eating that fabulous vegan brownie and then not take the time to enjoy every last bite of it? Because life is short. And when you start doing that, you'll stop giving it power because you'll stop making it bad. Making it bad is the worst possible thing you can do for your goals in any area of life. So many questions. I'm never going to get through them all. So I'm just going to jump around and just take random questions. Let me see. You guys are saying that this is really helping, which is fantastic. I am so pleased. Oh, this is a good one. Do you think that calorie control is the best way to lose weight? Yes, it is if you are not good with intuitive eating. But if you want to lose body fat, there's really no other way to do it except following a calorie and macro controlled diet. And the reason is because what gets measured gets managed. And the only way that you can build data over time is to keep all the data consistent. Let me take a wee drink. Hang on. So think about it in this way. Imagine you were a scientist and you were coming up with an experiment, right? And you wanted to create a certain outcome. And so your outcome was, I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I've never done it, but I imagine whenever, imagine in labs where they're trying to find the cure for cancer. So in labs, they're trying to find a cure for cancer. And so what do? They try, well, what happens if we put this with this? Okay, well, this happened. And what happens if we put this with this? And the desired outcome is I have cancer cells and I want to kill them. That's the goal. So can you imagine, right? If the goal was I have cancer cells and I want to kill them. That's the goal, right? Can you imagine if scientists in our world just were like, well, I mean, I'm not going to measure any of my results. I'm just going to go into the lab today and I'm just going to do whatever feels right. You'd be like, whatever feels right? Like, really? Like you're trying to develop the cure for cancer and you're just going to go with whatever feels right? And they'd be like, yeah, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this. And they just like tried a little bit of this and a little bit of this. And they didn't write anything down. They didn't document anything. Do you think they were ever going to find the cure for cancer? No, because the only way they're ever going to find, does this kill this, is by saying, okay, well, if I do this and this, what happens? Okay, write it down. If I do this and this, what happens? Write it down. What about this and this? What about this and this? And then I add this, write it down. The only way they're ever going to get measurable, verifiable, reproducible results is to measure their results. And we always say, if you can't measure your results, you're probably not getting any. So the fastest way to lose weight is to work out what your total daily energy expenditure is, which is the amount of calories your body burns just by being alive, which is called your BMR, and then add on the amount of energy you expend in your day-to-day life just by living and moving and working. You add those together, and that gives you the total amount of calories you need to maintain your current size or your current body shape. If you want to then lose body fat, you need to eat under those calories. But until you know what those calories are and you know how many less you need to eat, and then you start tracking your food to see if you are close to or away from your goal, you're never going to be able to get any consistent results. And then you'll go, okay, so consistently for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, I ate 15% under my TDEE. What happened? So you take a progress picture at the start, you take a progress picture after 4 weeks, or you step on the scale at the start, you step on the scale after 4 weeks. You measure your results. How many inches did I lose? How many pounds did I lose? What difference were there in my photos? And then you either decide that you're happy with that progress and you're going to continue with the same data for the next 4 weeks, or you think, okay, well, I didn't really lose as much as I wanted, so I'm going to decrease my calories by another 100 and I'm going to see what happens. So really, whenever you're on a fat loss goal, whenever you're a bodybuilder, and this is the bodybuilder science that I love to teach, it's all data. There's no opinion, or there's no, we don't get hung up on what the scale says. We don't look at it and go, oh my God, I'm like 2 pounds more, 2 pounds fatter today than I was yesterday. No, because we don't get emotional about the number on the scale. You go, oh, interesting. Yesterday I had a large pizza and 2 beers and I'm up 2 pounds today. Well, there you are. I wonder, well, I'll note that. Large pizza, 2 beers, 2 pounds in weight. And then next time, if you weigh yourself every day, next time you have a pizza and beers and you notice your weight goes up again, you're going, aha, a pattern. Interesting. So I consistently know that when I do this and this will happen. When I do this and this will happen. I know consistently on a Sunday when I've had a pizza, which I always do on a Saturday, not always. On Saturday night I have a pizza or I have real salty food, and then I'll have a couple of beers usually, or some champagne. And water follows salt. So when I have alcohol and salty food, the next day I wake up and all my definition has disappeared and I look like I'm fatter. But I know I'm not fatter. I'm just holding more water because I know consistently from years and years and years of having a refeed meal on the weekend that my body holds more water on a Sunday morning. So I don't look in the mirror and go, oh my God, I'm so fat. So, and that's because I've measured everything for so long. So when you measure things, then you can get consistent results and you can build consistent data over time. And that's what most of you were missing from your process. Most of you are missing the measurement part because you are focusing too much on you're focusing too much on two things. One, judging yourself for being bad, for being wrong, for being unmotivated, for being undisciplined, for all of these things, and also judging yourselves for being, just useless and fat and overweight and all of these different things. But understand, all this negative self-talk is just a way you get out of it's just the way you let yourself off the hook for not trying. And the reason why you're usually not trying is because a whole pile of reasons. Could be you're scared of failing. Could be you just really don't want it that much. Like you're comfortable. You want it. Maybe you were told when you were younger that in order to be a good person, you had to be thin, but you quite enjoy being fat. Quite simply, because it just seems like so much effort. Like, who the hell wants to get up in the morning and go to the gym? Like, you don't even like the gym. Like, really? Like, I went to the gym, I go to the gym every day, but like it's internal dialogue. I know loads of people who hate the gym. And they go, oh, I hate the gym, but I have to go. I'm like, why? Why would you go and do something you hate? Well, because you have to go to the gym to build muscle. I mean, no, you don't. There's millions of things you can do to build muscle. You could do calisthenics. You could do pole dancing. You could do what do you call it? Body pump classes. You could do CrossFit. There's so many things you could do without going to the gym. So many different ways to achieve your goal. You don't have to make yourself miserable to achieve your goal. And in fact, you're probably not going to get there if you make yourself miserable. But the first thing you have to do is stop judging yourself, because that's why many people don't even try, because they're so busy like negatively self-talking themselves. But you have to understand, you only give yourself a lot of negative self-talk because you want to comfort yourself. You either want to get out of doing the hard thing in case you fail, so you're avoiding discomfort then, or you're avoiding discomfort in the moment. But either way, you're just avoiding discomfort. But that's okay, because human beings are comfort seekers. That's what we do. We look for comfort. So you're not a bad person. I promise you. And I love you, even if you don't love yourself. Okay. What else have we got? I'm looking for some really juicy ones. Oh, I love this. Sometimes I struggle with being honest with myself. I avoid the mirror when I'm naked. I avoid the scale and I estimate my weight. How do I get past that to become honest with myself? We all struggle with this. Genuinely, we all struggle with this, but you have to ask yourself, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of, really? Are you afraid that if you get the information, you're going to have to change? Is that what you've told yourself? Like, if you looked in the mirror or you took a photo of yourself, or say you took a photo of yourself, like a selfie with just your underwear on, and you realized how bad it was, are you afraid that it's going to force you to change? And that's what you're afraid of? Because there's a reason why you're afraid to get the data. And I'll just bring up the question again so you guys know what we're talking about. So, you're just afraid to get the data. And the reason why is because you've made the data mean something. Because here's the thing, right? You avoiding looking at reality doesn't mean that reality doesn't exist. Sorry to burst your bubble. It's like a little kid. Have you ever seen a little kid standing in the corner and you play hide and seek with them? And you're like, let's play hide and seek. And they go, okay, great. And they go, I'll hide first, because they never want to be the seekers, right? So they go, I'll hide. And you go, okay. And they run over into the corner and they go like this. Right? And they put their hands over their eyes. And you're like, bless. And you're walking around going, where's Kim? Where's Kimmy? And like they're right there in front of you with their hands over their eyes. And it's so cute because you realize that they think if they can't see you, you can't see them. And of course, you play the game, and you're like, ah, and then they go like this, and you go, ah, there she is, and you totally play along, right? And you play the game. It's kind of what you're doing with yourself. It's a wee adult game of hide and seek. So you're going, if I don't look, if I can't see the data, it doesn't exist. It's kind of not true, right? It does exist. You are the way you are. You weigh what you weigh, and you look like what you look like. And the only person who doesn't see it is you. The only person who doesn't want to see it is you, but also the only person who's judging it is you, because no one else genuinely cares. And you know why? How I know this? Because no one else is like, everyone is so wrapped up in their own problems to really give a damn what somebody else is doing. Like, truly, we always think that people care so much more than they will. We're always like, oh, what will people think? But like, even whenever people leave a negative comment, I always say people who leave negative comments or who punish you, like, punishment is literally just um a discharge of pain. So whenever I punish someone, I'm just I'm just discharging pain. So I've had this recently on the Facebook ads that we ran for this challenge. I posted some of them on my Facebook yesterday. They were so funny. I always laugh so much at all the negative comments. I get these things like, she's vile. No, thank you. Yuck. I would never want to look like that. She looks like a man. Or what was the other one I got the other day? She's absolutely minging. Then I had loads of American people go, what's minging? I was like, it means gross in the UK. She's minging. And I get all of these comments, right? Or other people going, yeah, she took male hormones and steroids, and it's impossible to look like that without taking steroids. So we get all these comments, and I just laugh at them because they don't bother me at all. But really, because I see them for what they are. So what's happening is people are scrolling Facebook and they're seeing an ad of me looking ripped and buff and beautiful. And in some way, that picture causes them pain, right? They go like, it causes them pain, but they're not self-aware enough to go, interesting. I saw that ad and I got offended, or I didn't like it, or what is it about this ad that I don't like? Like, they're not self-aware enough to realize that seeing this ad in some way has caused them pain. But now they have this pain, and god damn it, they want the pain to go away. So like, and it's this ad that has caused me pain. So I'm gonna leave her a shitty comment. I'm gonna punish her. I'm gonna tell her she looks like a man. And and so what they do is they leave a comment, right? And they leave a negative comment about me because they want to punish me and they want me to see that negative comment. But the only reason, all they're doing is discharging pain. So I saw the ad, it caused me to feel pain, and now I want to discharge the pain. And so they just discharge the pain. And do you know what that has nothing to do with? Me. Them needing to discharge pain has nothing to do with me, because they saw the ad caused them pain, they tried to discharge the pain. All I was a I was walking around the world being a walking stimulus for all of these women. And because I live life so joyfully and so brash and so beautifully and so out there, because I have no fear of offending people, unfortunately, I walk around offending a lot of people. But the reason why I have no fear of offending people is because I realize that offending people and people judging you, which we're all so afraid of, is just them feeling pain and then discharging the pain by punishing you. So anytime I leave a negative comment or a snide comment or a backhanded comment or a snide remark disguised as, not like, someone like accused me of gaslighting the other day. I had to go and look up what it meant. It's not a term we use here in Northern Ireland, but I think it's very big in America. So it's like, you're gaslighting me. I was like, I don't know what that means, but I'm going to go look it up. So what's my point here? I'm getting lost. Like satiating in my teaching. My point is that, oh, now I've lost your comment. My point is that I can't even remember where was the bloody comment now. I totally went off on there. I'm really, really sorry. Can't remember what point it was going to make. Can somebody remind me what point it was going to make? Because I've completely forgotten now. Somebody remind me of what I was talking about. Data. Okay, looking at the data. I've just seen Laura. Okay, she was saying about weighing herself and feeling bad about that. Weighing yourself is just data. And taking your photographs is just data. I remember now. It's just data. It's just information. And just because you don't want to see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, right? It exists. And your unwillingness to look at its existence is a problem, but it's only a problem for you. It's not a problem for anyone else. So the question is, I would ask yourself, you said how to overcome this, Facebook user. You said, what do I do to overcome this? Well, the first step to overcoming it, like I'm not the kind of coach who's going to go, well, you just march into that bedroom and you strip off and you take those photos and you post them on the internet for us all to see. I'm not that kind of coach, right? First thing I'm going to say to you is you have to ask yourself, what are you trying to avoid? What pain or discomfort are you trying to avoid by avoiding looking at reality? Because you just don't want to see reality. Because understand, even if you see reality, you don't have to change. You don't have to change. You can see it and go, "Oh, well, it's worse than I thought." But if you see it, it might motivate you to change, but I think that that's probably what you're afraid of because you don't wanna change, but you don't have to change. Even if you saw the data, you don't have to change. Nobody making you change. It's up to you. You only got one shot at this life, and if you're happy, you rock on. Ain't no one's job to tell you what's gonna make you happy. What else have we got here? Oh, just love it. Just loving this juicy material. It's so good. So good. Right. What else have we got? You guys have chatted. Oh, here, I have to bring this one up. Jan, never counted anything, never needed to. Need assistance with this area. I want to make change with weights and transformation. Jan, I'm just gonna drop away. And I told you about it earlier. I feel like I'm peering over the top of the question. Um, I I know I mentioned it earlier. I said to you whenever in the live earlier that I was going to we're opening at the end of this challenge, we're opening the 4-week shredded body program. The reason why we ran this challenge for complete transparency is because yes, I want to help as many of you as possible, but I also wanted to bring as many people in to this group so I could teach them and I can show you that I know how to help you have change. That thing that you've wanted for so long, if you just trust me to be your coach and let me and my team show you and coach you, that there's no way you can't achieve your goals. Okay? Like there's no way you goals. So, oh, my computer went off, but it went on again. Hopefully it's all okay. The 4-week shredded body program that we're opening on Friday is going to show you everything that you need to know to achieve those goals, like everything. So if this is something you want assistance with, wait till Friday. Wait till Friday when I tell you what this program is going to offer. It's nothing we've ever done before. Every time we have a team meeting about it, the team go, I still can't believe, like Jamie, my director of ops, goes, I still can't honestly believe that we are doing this. I cannot believe that you are giving this much away, that you are packing this much into this program. They are stunned by what it is that we're actually creating. So I'm just giving you a wee teaser here, Jan. I'm just saying, wait till Friday. You're going to learn. We can help you with this. And even if you don't join the program on Friday, which is totally okay, we have so many resources, free, paid, $4 right up to $1,000 for anybody who really wants transformation. But I want you to wait till Friday to hear what I have to offer. And if you decide to jump in, the only way you can fail is to not let me teach you, not let me coach you. But if it's not right for you on Friday, that's totally okay. We're going to help you anyway. I promise. What other questions have we got here? I'm loving all the comments. You guys are like, you're like, I'm in love with this masterclass today, day one. You have no idea. Like, I just love you guys so much, honestly. I just love all of you. I love your comments. I love how amazing you all are. I love the fact you're showing up for yourselves. I love your energy. You give me life. Like genuinely, you literally give me life. I can't even anytime I ever feel disconnected to myself or my purpose or my why, or I feel unmotivated, which doesn't happen very often, all I do is go into my Facebook groups again and I read through all of your comments and I do a live Q&A and literally it just gives me strength. It really gives me strength. You guys are my why. That's why you are why I do what I do every day. Alison, I love you. Long-standing member of our community. Love Alison. How do we get through injuries or limitations? How do we work through them? I mean, push through and not quit. Okay, Alison, this is really hard, okay? And it does require a certain amount of tenacity. Whenever you're injured, and it's all to do with It's all to do with routine. So I have my training routine. I have what I do. We're routinal as human beings. So I have my training routine. I have my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday training routine. And if I injure myself, right? So say I injured my right shoulder, so I can't actually train the right side of my body. I lose all motivation. Like I don't even want to go into the gym. I don't even want to train. I go in and I'm like, like a child. I'm like, I'm looking at the bench. Like, you guys, like I can't have it. I can't do it. I can't do that. Like, sorry, I feel on the inside. Really, I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, it's gonna take the week off. Yeah, but on the inside, I'm like, I actually feel like a little child. I'm like, I feel like someone has taken something away from me. My life is hard enough, right? I'm busy. I don't want to have to work out other ways to train. I want life to be easy because we all just want life to be easy. That's what we want. And see, whenever we accept that fact, it makes life a whole lot easier. I just want things to be easy. I don't have to work around an injury and like what's even the point of it and like trying to figure out new exercises. And so the simple answer is if it's a short-term injury that would benefit from resting, then it's better to take a couple of weeks off and rest. If it's a longer term injury or something which is going to knock you out for longer than, say, 3 to 4 weeks, then you're going to have to find a way to work around it. And finding a way to work around it will become the new norm for you. And in our new 4 week shredded body program, we actually have a whole program, a whole training program for people who can't squat, for people with knee injuries. And so, people who can't squat, we have literally developed an entire training for them. And I was like, maybe we'll develop one for people with shoulder injuries and with back injuries. And the team were like, steady on, steady on. Can we already have like 5 different workouts for different people? Home workouts, gym workouts, home gym workouts, injury workouts. Like everybody gets them all. So, but I'd be totally open, right? Because we can create workouts like that. I would be totally open to creating workouts for people if they're like, I have a shoulder injury. I'd be like, yeah, we'll get you one of those. No problem at all. Because we can do them so quickly. Now the team are like, no, shut her up, shut her up, shut her up. Personalized workouts for everybody. I get very excited when I do these lives. So, Alison, you just have to work around it. You literally just have to work around it. You have to, like, whenever I got my boob job, I was back in the gym 9 days later. 9 days. And I trained legs. And I couldn't do squats or anything, obviously, but I could do an incline hack squat and I could do a pendulum squat and I just really focused on not tensing my chest. And I could train biceps. So I literally did legs and biceps for like twice a week, 3 times a week, I think it was, for 2 weeks. And then I could started to add in like a little bit of back. I couldn't reach and I couldn't push, but there were things that like I could do. And I realized that I could really isolate the muscle and I could do them. So figure out, oh, well, can I do this? Oh, can I do this? Oh, can I do this? So I just tried loads of different because they did still cause a little bit of pain. So I would try and I'd be like, no, can't do that. No, no. Like I injured my shoulder. I actually landed on my shoulder whenever I was skiing in January, landed really badly on my shoulder. And I couldn't sleep on it for ages. And there were things I just couldn't do in the gym. And so I would go to do it and I'd be like, no, no. Mark would be like, no, you can't do it. I'm like, no, absolutely not. You go, what about this machine? So I'd be like, oh yeah, I can do that. That's fine. Or dips. So I went to do chest dips. I was like, absolutely not. And he was like, really? Like, no, couldn't do chest dips for like 4 weeks. But I worked out what I could do. So you just have to do what you can do and leave the rest. But don't give up. If you give up, you're never going to get there. So you have to keep going. That is the most important part. Just figure out a way and work around them. Okay. Guys, we've only got 5 minutes left. I'm going to do a couple of quick questions. What else have we got? Oh, look at you guys. Look at all your amazing comments. I just love it. Okay, what else have we got? Oh, 5 years ago, my husband left me for someone else. I have raised my son by myself. I'm now going through a really messy divorce. Oh, I just feel when my husband left, I lost my why. I feel like I'm drowning. I'm just going through the motions. Any advice on how I can rediscover myself? This is a hard one. The first thing I would say is you have to really, really dig deep into your pain because you're never going to transform it unless you do. You have to dig deep into your pain. You have to, instead of trying to be strong, and I imagine you're trying to be strong for your 5-year-old. Did you say you have a 5-year-old? No, you just said for your son. I imagine you're trying to be strong for your son and you're trying to be strong for yourself. you just have to dig deep into your pain, and you have to bring it all to the surface, and you have to really, really examine it and bring it out and cry for as long as it takes. And you have to figure out why, 5 years on, you're still so devastated. And you may have made it mean something about you, which isn't true, because when our husbands leave us, it's nothing to do with us. Two people come together because something in the other person. So I have a stimulus response pattern, or I have a set of values. So remember I said at the beginning, um, whenever I see my value represented in the world. So someone comes to me for a job interview, and I have a real high value of being very well turned out. And I always have my makeup done and my hair done. This is not me, by the way. I have my hair done, my makeup done, and always well turned out. So someone comes for a job interview, and she comes in and she's beautifully turned out. And I go, oh, I really like her. Oh, I really like her. We should give her the job because she's beautifully turned out. No, that's nothing to do with that woman. Okay. That's everything to do with, I have a value of being turned out. And when I'm well turned out and well represented in the world, it makes me feel good. And so someone coming in who supports that value brings up that good feeling in me. Similarly, I could have someone come in for the job interview who's extremely well qualified, but wasn't well turned out. Their nails were dirty, their shoes weren't polished, they looked a bit messy. And I'm like, oh, and I ignore all of the data about how well qualified they are because seeing them doesn't bring up that good feeling. In fact, it brings up a icky feeling because I have a rule about looking good. So whenever we get married, or whenever we get into a relationship with people, or we get into friendships with people even, it's because that person makes it easier for me to bring up the good feeling that is represented by my value. So that's why people form friendships, because you're like me. I like this part of myself. You have this part that brings up this part I like in myself. And now we can be friends because every time I'm around you, I feel good. But I don't feel good because of you. I feel good because you make it easier for me to bring up the good part of me that already exists inside of me. I have this value. It makes me feel good. Ah, there you are representing this value. Boom, the good feeling comes up. It's kind of like looking at a photograph. Whenever you pull out a photograph of your loved one, you're like, like instantly the feeling, I'm actually gonna see, like, look at this, right? I took this photo. No, well, hang on, I've got so many bloody notifications now. Clear, let me clear this. I was going to there. So see this photo? This is me and my kids on New Year's Eve. So that's Maya. Oh God, it's gone. Maya and Corey and me and Jack and Kai, right? And then notifications from my team. Every time I look at that photo, I get a rush of good feeling. Looking at the photo gives me the rush of good feeling. The photo doesn't cause the good feeling. The photo activates the good feeling that's already in there. It just makes it easier to activate it. So the reason why people get together with other people and form relationships and marriages, I hate to burst your bubble. Whenever I tell people this, they're always a bit like, oh, I was a real romantic. And now Kim's kind of burst my bubble. But it also makes you feel better, because the reason why we marry people is because marrying that person makes it easier for me to bring up the good feeling that I already have inside. And so that's why we get married. And so sometimes over time, that person, then I realize, I get data, oh, this person isn't the way I thought they were, or this person brings up all the good feelings, but they also bring up the bad feelings sometimes. But the good feelings are more than the bad feelings. So I'm willing to ignore the bad feelings because I get more of the good feelings. And then over time, sometimes what happens is I can't ignore the bad feelings anymore. I can't ignore the bad things. The bad things become too bad. They become really big. So I decide I don't want to be in the relationship anymore. That's actually nothing to do with the other person. Nothing to do with you. So when your husband left, it was nothing to do with you. It was that at some point in his life, you activated easily the good feelings that he already had inside himself. And then somehow, because of his values and his decisions, he stopped activating the good feelings when he was around you. And he started, whatever was happening in your relationship, started activating the bad feelings that were already there, that he had maybe just pushed down and suppressed. So there was the good feelings were on top, and then over time, the things that he didn't like, or the bad feelings that he doesn't like and he tries to suppress, unfortunately overtook the good feelings. And he decided he didn't want to be there anymore, and he left. Nothing to do with you, my darling. Nothing. Nothing. Nothing at all. And there's nothing you could have changed. There's no way you could have been different. There's nothing you could have done to influence him. All we can do in our relationships is be ourselves, 100% ourselves. and hope that that self that we are continues to activate the good feeling in the people that we are with. And that if the bad feelings come up, or the bad things come up, that we can talk about them, bring them out in the open and discuss them and negotiate and reach a settlement or reach a point of resolution. So what I would ask you to do is to bring out all of the bad feelings and all of the negative feelings and all of the reasons why you feel bad about what happened, or all of the things you've suppressed and you've pushed down, and all of the things that you've made it mean about you that hopefully now after this conversation you realize are not true. My goal with this conversation is to set you free, because when someone leaves you, it's not because of you, it's because of them. But it was never because of you. They weren't with you because of you. And if you accept the fact that they left, whenever people go, oh, it wasn't you, it was them, like they left because of them. Well, if that's true, then you have to accept that they weren't there because of you either. My eyelashes are sticking. People aren't with us because of us, and they don't leave us because of us. They're with us because of them, and they leave us because of them. It's always to do with them. So you did nothing wrong, and you have to bring out all of the ways that you have judged yourself for this and all of the things that you've pushed down. And I imagine if after 5 years it still hurts you, there's a lot you've pushed down. You have to bring them out in the open. You have to look at them. You have to examine them. You have to cry about them. You have to talk about them. You have to give yourself the space to do whatever it takes to bring the ugliness out in the open. And then you have to work to let it go, because the only way to release it is to bring it out in the open, and then you can set it free. And then you can start to move forward and find your why. But you can't find your why until you've done that. You can't find your way back to yourself while you're still holding on to your ex-husband. You have to detach yourself, but you can't detach yourself by controlling or forcing yourself to detach yourself. You can only detach yourself by bringing out everything that pains you about it, which is so hard to do. It's so hard to do, but you're strong. You have a son. You have raised him beautifully, I imagine, and you have endured hard things because you are a fucking warrior woman. So if you can do that, you can do this. I believe in you, but that's your first step. This is so good. I can't believe we get to do this every day for the next 5 days. Honestly, it's my favorite thing to do. Guys, you're all amazing. I adore you all so much. Thank you for letting me into your Facebook pages. Thank you for letting me into your lives, into your hearts. Thank you for letting me guide you and teach you. Thank you for sharing yourselves with me. Thank you for all of it, because honestly, it brings me so much joy. You are my why. I'm not even kidding. Anyone in the company will tell you, you guys are my why. And the more I get of you, the more it makes me feel good. It's not really you, by the way, it's me. It's all me. Being with you makes me feel good about me. And the more I can get of that, the happier I am. Okay, same time tomorrow. Please be there live. Please show up live. Honestly, you'll tell yourself, oh, I can't show up live, but I'll watch the replay. Do the hard thing. Make yourself show up live. Give yourself this chance this week. Amazing things happen when you show up live. We'll do the masterclass at 12. We'll do the Q&A at 4. Bring your best selves. Bring all your questions. And I will see you all tomorrow. And I love you all so much. Sending you huge hugs and kisses. And I'll talk to you all tomorrow. Bye for now.